Oh my goodness. Okay, there you go. So this is what we have in the agenda, the introduction, what is anxiety, and then we'll have Q&A after. So again, breaking that down into first understanding anxiety, I'll talk about the flight or flight response and what happens there, how the flight or flight response affects our physical system, behavior, and our cognition. I'll talk about the restoration of systems and what causes anxiety. There are biological factors and there are psychological factors. And then we'll summarize and have a Q&A after. So as a way of introduction, I want you to because there was a question actually in the registration that someone was asking about mental health and how many people have mental health issues. Actually, anxiety is a very common thing. So you are not alone. The Center for Clinical Intervention says 1 in 5 Americans actually have this kind of mood from time to time in their lives. So many people experience anxious moods, and for 1 to 5, it's significant at some point in their lives. There are many misunderstandings and stigma when it comes to anxiety. And sometimes that's why people don't like talking about it. And I'm curious as to what kind of stigma that you have experienced. If you don't mind sharing at the end, I would love to hear. For some people, they say, oh, sometimes people feel they're going crazy. Sometimes people will say, oh, just snap out of it, just get over it. And sometimes if you have a religious background, sometimes people will say, oh, just pray about it and it's going to be okay. Like, don't you have faith and all that? So those are things that I have heard personally. Anxiety is not a respecter of persons. It doesn't care who you are. It can affect anyone. So people with anxiety, could be, it doesn't respect your age, your personality, your social level, your age, your gender. It does not care. It has nothing to do with socioeconomic status or feeling that one person is better than the other. It could happen to anybody. So understanding anxiety is because there's a kind of connection between anxiety and fear. So fear is a natural human response to anticipated danger. So sometimes people can't differentiate between fear and anxiety. Fear is response to real danger. Anxiety is response to anticipated. Some say it's emotional, right? That it's more of something is going to happen. But for fear, there is real danger. So it's important for us to understand that, and this is crucial. It's to protect us. It's crucial for survival because it triggers protective physical and behavior changes. When it happens to you, it's triggering you to respond to something. Number 2, in dangerous situations, fear can prompt a fight or flight response. What do I mean by that? So it's like you're either going to face the object of fear, or you're going to run away from it. So what you are feeling in your body is enhancing your ability to defend yourself or to run away, to escape. And I'll explain the details of that later. So again, I have talked about anxiety versus fear. And I say, is it a bee or is it a burglar? So if we're sitting down let's say in a physical room and a bee comes in now, all of us can freak out and run away from the bee. Somebody can grab something to swap the bee. However, if we get home and you hear a sound in your house, what you're likely feeling is that fear of, oh, is somebody in my house? It's the same feeling you feel in your body, but it's different. One is anxiety and one could be fear. So in terms of flight or fight response, it's important to understand how our body reacts to threat or danger, because whether it is real or imagined, our body responds the same way. Threat or danger triggers the fight or flight response to protect us. So if you don't get anything from this presentation, I want you to get this. The experience of anxiety itself is not inherently harmful, because I think that's one of the things that people are worried about the most. Like, oh, what's happening to me? I'm going to die. Or, that's also connected to panic attack, which we're going to talk about another time. So this response that we are having, it affects us physically, it affects our thinking, it affects our behavior. And that's why some people are diagnosed, like really, they're diagnosed with it, with anxiety, because now it's impacting their day-to-day living. So what's happening when we're anxious? Anxiety affects our autonomic nervous system. So, and the nervous system is broken down into the sympathetic and the parasympathetic branch. So these control the physical changes that happen. So I call them the get ready and the calm down. The body is doing so much work, right? It's responding, it's doing what it's supposed to do. So I call the sympathetic branch the get ready team. They release chemicals, they release the adrenaline and the noradrenaline. So the big picture is the autonomic nervous system broken into two, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, all working together to protect us. The sympathetic branch takes care of your body from head to toe and then releases two chemicals, the adrenaline. I call them the maintenance manager. So they're telling you, this is what's going to happen. This is just preparing your body to keep you safe. Okay. So these are some of the things that happen physically when you're anxious. So physical changes that happen that the sympathetic mechanism produces. Number one, when you're anxious, your heart rate beats faster. I don't know, I'm sure most of you have experienced that before. Your heart begins to beat faster. I still remember thinking when I was in Africa, thinking a burglar was in our house. My heart, I could almost hear my heart pounding. That's what happens. So what is happening is that oxygen is being redistributed in your body, right? It's pumping blood more quickly throughout your body. And this delivers oxygen to your tissues faster to remove waste products from it. To everything. Your body is working, it's supporting you, it's helping you. Number two, there's blood redistribution. So blood flow shifts from the less important areas of your body, like your toes, your fingers, your skin, and it's moving to the vital organs that would help to keep you safe. It helps you to stay alive in case you get hurt, and sometimes maybe for all of us, for us Africans, you don't see it, but the color of your skin can change at that moment, right? The body is doing what it's supposed to do. Your breathing increases. So when you're anxious, your breathing becomes faster and deeper to provide, again, more oxygen to your body. So the issues, it provides the tissues the extra amount of oxygen that you need to prepare for action. So what you're going to feel, it's going to make you feel like you're breathless. Of course, that's scary, right? Your chest can be tight. You can feel dizzy. But it's the extra oxygen that's reducing blood flow to your head. It's not dangerous. It just feels very unpleasant and uncomfortable. In fact, you can start feeling dizzy. You can have blurred vision. Even the blurred vision, it's your body telling your eyes to your pupils to see clearly, to see better. It's your body is doing what it's supposed to do. So there could be increased sweating. I think this is my favorite. Sweating more helps cool your body and it makes it slippery. And this is what can be useful for you to escape danger. But we freak out, right? Because I'm sweating. This must be bad. It prevents overheating during stressful situations. Like, isn't it, to me, as I'm even preparing, it's just fascinating to me. Like, wow, my body is doing all this and I'm thinking that it's a negative thing. Yeah, I talked earlier about the widening of the pupils of the eyes, right? Your pupils widen to let more light in, and it helps you to see better, to spot potential dangers, right? So, but then the way it shows up scares us. Number 6, there's decreased digestive activity. So during stress, your digestive system will slow down. What's happening is it's redirecting energy to muscles and vital organs. That's what's happening. It can cause dry mouth, it can cause nausea, it can cause constipation. You just see the tightening of the stomach. Some people, their digestive system just goes haywire when they're anxious. And then number 7, there's muscle tension. So your muscles tense. Again, it's preparing you for action. That tension is preparing you for action. You can start feeling pain and trembling. It's all subjective. This overall subjective tension leaves you feeling tired and exhausted. But overall, I hope this makes sense to let you see that even though all these physical things you're experiencing make you feel bad to you, your body is actually doing what it is supposed to do. Okay. Oops. All right. So let's talk about behavior. So that's what happens in our body, what I just discussed. Because anxiety, even depression, anxiety, all these things affect the way we think, the way we feel, the way we behave. So the behavioral system there are two main behaviors. There's the fight or flight. Again, it's associated with the urge for aggression because you want to fight back because there's danger, right? And the desire to escape. But of course you can't escape, right? Depending on where you are, maybe you can't run. So what happens when you're in a social setting? What happens if you're tapping your foot, you're clicking a pen, you're pacing up and down, you're snapping at people? It's because you can't escape or you're looking for an escape. So that's the behavioral system. And then the cognitive system, that is like the way we think. So when all that is happening in your body and your behavior is changing, you're more vigilant, you're looking around, right? You're wondering what's going on in your environment, because you're looking for potential threats, right? And what happens is then you lose concentration because this heightened alertness, it's normal, but then you can't concentrate because you're constantly wondering if there's danger around you. And lastly, you now start seeking explanation, right? You think, your body thinks there's danger, but there's no danger, right? So people just start looking for an explanation of why there is danger. And this is where this cognitive distortion starts happening. You start catastrophizing and making up reasons why that is happening. Some may say, oh, I'm going to die. You feel like you're going to die, or start thinking something is seriously wrong. So that's what happens in the cognitive system. Well, I know I ran through that, but we're just going to wait till to answer specific questions. So what causes anxiety? It's not one thing. There are some people that are vulnerable to it. There's some inherited vulnerability to anxiety disorder, period. Nothing they did wrong. However, there's the psychological factors, sometimes lifestyle, stresses, early childhood, or learned patterns of thinking and behavior. For those of us from Africa, I can definitely say that our parents created some fears. There are certain places, for example, many of us, you'll find we can't swim. I don't know if Yinka and Misi can swim. We can't swim. It's probably from the fear they put in us that, oh, you will drown if you go swimming, right? Many things that we're unable to do. It's because our parents created that fear in us, or certain places. Some of us can't go to amusement parks because we're not adventurous, because obviously people who go to amusement parks die there, or whatever it is. So that's sometimes the cause of anxiety. Okay, well, that was pretty fast, but here is the summary. Like I said, if you get nothing from this, get the fact that anxiety is not your enemy, and we can't eliminate it. If you do, then you will see a lion and you will pet a lion, right? Not knowing that this is dangerous. You won't know what's dangerous. It's an important emotion, and it serves to protect us from harm. So when you see something as your friend, when it's happening, we'll still talk about many things you can do, right? That's where mindfulness comes in. And you see, you will notice it without judgment. You would notice the feeling like, okay, anxiety, what are you telling me? You thank your anxiety even at some point because it's there to protect you from harm. It becomes problematic when um, there's no danger and then you think there is, right? When you think there is danger, when there's no danger, just because of the way your body is reacting. So when a person can't manage to function in their daily life due to frequency and severity of symptoms, then it becomes a disorder because all of us can function with anxiety. But then when you now get to the point where you can't go out, you can't go to social places, or you have phobia of this and that, and it's getting in the way of your daily life, then it might be a disorder, which you'll need to see a doctor for. All right, so with that, I have come to the end of this presentation on anxiety. Most of the work here is from Center for Clinical Intervention.